In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a feature in existing repositories using Agent Teams feature of Claude Code. I am mostly not prepared for this project, so I have nearly blank canvas for that, other than having two existing repositories which I created earlier for different purposes. Agent Teams are still experimental in Claude Code. You can enable them in settings. We'll get back onto this soon. Agent Teams are similar to sub-agents, but they work better. And main purpose of them, I'd say, is for large projects when you want the main agent, the team lead, to understand higher level overview of the task of the project, and team lead delegates to teammates and they complete the task and return back to main agent, or they communicate with each other to complete the task. Let's go and enable this in our project. Yeah, for now we can just start the Claude in the project and we can tell it. We could of course create the file ourselves and edit it by hand, but let's see if it can set it up properly for itself. Alright, Claude, usually unless you run in with bypass permissions option, it's asking if you allow it to change the configuration of itself. So I'm allowing it to do this within this session, and once again. Right, so it recommends to add team mode tmux, which we're going to use for this project. I will get into this soon. So it's really, we just need to restart the Claude. So I just hit Ctrl+C. A few words about the project we're going to build. So Consloth Assistant is a general purpose AI agent for terminal, built mostly for self-educational purposes. And Galvanized Pukeka is as well. I built it as a capstone project for Google Agents Crash Course. This is a front end, it's a client for AI agents. I decided to record this after agent has succeeded with the task and built the integration. I expect that I will be criticized for the amount of preparations and the size of my prompt to set up the context, but trust me, it was a complex integration and it could have failed. And if we look at simpler tasks, of course, the prompt can be as simple as this, so just describing exactly what you want to be built. And this is GitHub agent, for example, and it successfully built this trivial feature and it's been quickly tested and released. So let's get back to our agent teams in Claude Code. So what we're going to do is we're going to build integration between Pukeka and Sloth using AGUI protocol. I thought about it a little bit and decided, since Galvanized Pukeka is a monorepo, it's going to be easier to clone it into this project repository, to this project directory, and make it control Gunsloth Assistant, and this will make integration a lot easier. Yeah, maybe just move it here. Cool. And in this case, we could use existing briefs directory. Yeah, should be good. All right, let's adjust tasks a little bit. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Now we can launch Claude. All right, it's done. Let's inspect. So we have these repositories cloned. We have agents created. While I'm writing a prompt to set a context, I'm just going to cut it out so you don't have to watch me type in this pretty big document. So I'm going to create maybe a folder for all prompts for this project. Let's call it AG UI. Alright, I finished writing the prompt, and it's more like specification, might look familiar to work items you have at work. So generally the structure is goal, references, criteria, tasks. So we describe the goal that we want to establish connection between GAN-sloth and Gunnerlized Bukeka to allow them to talk using standard protocol AGUI. We include a few references. Amongst them we have read-only copies, those repositories we cloned. We include some technical details. Specifically, we say that we do not have global Maven and agents have to use local Maven wrapper. And criteria, so we want existing user functionality not to be affected, and existing configuration of GAN-sloth to stay supported. And we mention about establishing communication between these two. We want GAN-sloth to support a new command API, which takes a parameter specifying type of API. We identify that we want to replace existing run SSE with AGUI. This piece repeated to make sure we don't want to stay with run SSE, and no deprecations necessary as long as integration tests work. And I set up a set of tasks, and repeatedly between these tasks I have run integration tests because I wanted to keep working. And I emphasized that form rendering is out of scope for GAN-sloth. It's maybe a bit excessive detail if you are doing something with more conventional technologies, but many of these repositories, specifically AGUI, they didn't even exist when model was trained, most likely, because these have emerged in late 2025, and most of the data for model training is likely from 2024, maybe early 2025, but to a smaller extent. So I think we are good to go and ready to sail. What we are going to do is do a quick check. Right, we emphasize do not read any code yet. Do not write any code yet. Read this document. Repeating, this is quite a big document, it might get derailed. Seems like we need to answer these questions. Alright, finally we answered all these questions. Yeah, looks good. Now we want to create team members. Maybe helpful. Cool. While we were setting this project and doing all the investigation, we already accepted a number of commands. So this looks good. We have pretty good allow list. I think we want these team members to inherit permissions from the root agent. It's pretty good. So it created this team member specifically for this task for conversion, and maybe it is okay. Now we have everything we need. Let's just open a separate terminal. Check the current directory. We want to run agents from exactly the same directory. We start tmux, which is terminal multiplexer, which allows to split terminal in panes. And now we just start Claude. In Claude, as in many other AI applications, there is a concept of handle. It's similar to handle in social, but it is used to reference resources. So we can just start typing file name, and we can select it with keyboard and hit enter. So tell it, read this file and delegate to your team. Alright, now that we have prepared the prompt, it is time to have a cup of coffee. Oh, this looks good. So it demonstrates that running baseline integration tests is blocking for everything else. We wanted to register that tests are green, and it is able to run tests. Most importantly, when running coding agents, it is important to have good verification loops, good and reliable, so that agents can verify that the function works. So this is extremely important. So that's why we set the time to set up this project. But once you've done that, this should be easier to delegate your team another feature to build. A little bit about tmux. If you hit Ctrl B, you can use keyboard arrows to navigate between panes, up and down and left, for example. So I hit Ctrl B and left and return to the main agent. This is interesting. Last week, Claude Code had a feature called delegate mode. It was amongst those features you access via Shift Tab when switching was accept edits, plan mode, and was delegate, which was not allowing the root agent, this one, to do any edits or run any commands, and was forcing it to delegate everything to sub-agents or team members. And now it's gone. And I had a look, there is a bug opened in Claude Code with people complaining that they keep changing things without notice. So it's kind of another consequence of agent teams being experimental feature. It changes regularly, changes often. Be aware of that. A little bit more about tmux. If you want to scroll up and scroll down one of the panes, you switch to this pane, hit Ctrl B, and you can use page up and page down to look up and down. And then when you're done, you can hit ESC once, and it will return you to the normal mode. Alright, we can see that integration tests for ADK agent are passed, all 5. And we are still waiting for integration for Gonzlos to finish. There are a few of them and they take a few minutes to run. You can hit Ctrl O to expand current running task. We can see that it is probably still running. All right, we see one of the tests. It took 300 seconds to run. Sometimes maybe I wonder what's the time in United States. This may be daytime already. And sometimes the response is getting slow from LLMs. No, it's still nighttime in states everywhere. So just taking time. It turned out my OpenAI account was running out of money, and I was running my Gunsloth integration tests against OpenAI account. That's why tests were so slow and some of them failed. Had to top up. This is I'm using this agent. Team member just started sub-agents. I wonder it's a bug in Claude Code or what. So we can see that we have sub-agents within agent teams. Yeah, see, the build is failing in ADK dependencies update. There are some conflicts, something to do with OpenTelemetry. Trying to solve it. And meanwhile, TypeScript devs doing some work with Gunsloth. It claims it finished the project. Alright, I had a look at the code, I had a look at the diff, and it doesn't look bad. It certainly created a new command in Gunsloth. It created a new module for that. It imports correct packages, and in ADK agent, as we assumed, it copied quite a lot of stuff of a GUI as temporary stuff because it wasn't published to Maven yet. So there are some changes. I won't dive too deep into that, and let's just quickly try that. So there was a command to start dev server with ADK. So it builds and starts. Let's open. Starts the server, even WebSockets still work. It was out of scope. So seems like table rendering still works, even though it was out of scope. Let's have a look what does it send. This looks like proper AGUI to me. So it sends messages with deltas. It has those events like run started, run finished, and so on. So it looks correct. Yeah, cool. Now let's try with Gonslot. What would it do? I expect it to start. Oh yeah. At least it doesn't crash. How do we start the web client? Should have created example. Oh yeah, there's some documentation with example. That's how we run it. Cool. WebSockets are not enabled because Gunslot doesn't support WebSockets and it was out of scope. This will be a next story. Cheerful. Cool, it seems like it's streaming. So yeah, it looks really impressive considering that it was chewing it for about 1 hour and it basically built the feature I've asked. It integrated 3 different packages, one of them in Java Spring Boot, 2 of them TypeScript, 1 front end and 1 command line utility. 2 of them never worked before and it swapped a protocol to a completely different one and done minor version upgrade up to, was it 2 minor versions? Let's have a look. Yeah, to three minor versions up with breaking changes. So yeah, it's pretty good. It all worked, and of course, if it was, and it is actually a real application, at least Gunslot, before it goes to production, it has to go through further stages, and even in pre-AI era, literature telling that in companies it often takes 50 to 70% of time for non-productive tasks such as administrative tasks, meetings, verification, discussions, and other alignment checks. So in the AI era, this would be even more acute. This will be even more time for non-productive activities, even less time for actual code production. So I will continue looking at that. I will do proper code review, testing, more testing. Yeah, but otherwise, the rest is out of scope of this video, and all I wanted to demonstrate is that with presenting a good prompt with good context, we can complete entire feature across multiple different projects and integrate them together. Yeah, that's all I wanted to tell today. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. See you next time.